This is a tribute to the competitors who did the Nightmare Division at Woodland Brutality 2023. What was Nightmare Division? This is for the guys who wanted it to be a bit harder than Woodland Brutality already is. So, what did they have to do? Well, they had a very specifically packing list they had to follow because this had an infantry theme. So their packing list had to bring shelter, e-tool, and survival equipment like that. And when they got here, they were issued a TM62 landmine, a 50 cal can full of expended brass. They were given a field phone and a spool of wire. Altogether, this added 60 pounds to their kit. They then had to do a series of tasks to get through their Nightmare evolution. They started out at the meeting area at the top of Echo Valley and had to hike all the way down to the end of the road, over a mile with a big hill in between, and then go to their first stage, which was the Casper drill. Now, when they got to the Casper drill, well, they had to do something different than everybody else. For the normal competitors there was a 53-pound kettlebell. No, but for the Nightmare guys, they had a 95-pound kettlebell they had to throw. From there, they went over to the fifth stage where they had to emplace their landmines and not be detected. And credit to the Nightmare crew is due, because Carl drove right over the mines and never detected them. So they completed their mission, and theoretically, Carl has been blown up. Also, they then were given their special item of their rubber ducky, which was their spy, and they had to cross the river full of nice ice-cold spring water and place it on the road on the other side so their rubber duckies could gain intelligence and report back. Coming back across the river, they shot stage 5, then they had to go to stage 6. Now on stage 6, all the competitors there started from the seated position, but not Nightmare. They had to start inside the Portage. And this was their last stage of the day, so that was cooking out there in the nice West Virginia sun on a windy day. I'm sure it was rather pleasant inside. After that, they had to lay a lot of wire because they had to use their field phones, and their field phones had to work. So they laid a field phone from up top at the machine gun pits all the way down to where stage 6 was, through the river woods and over the river. And after splicing the different rolls of wire together, they were given a test. If the field phone works, yay for them. If the field phone didn't work, everybody on the Nightmare squad got to take a penalty. Luckily for our competitors, they did a good job with their splicing, and their field phone wire did work. And they also got to learn something about field phones, which are awesome devices. They're completely underrated, but I digress. That night, then, they had to prepare for counterattack while they ate their MREs. That's right. The regular people got to have a good burger for lunch and everything, but now these guys got MREs because, you know, it is Nightmare Division. And they had to set up their camp in the absolute worst place to put up a patrol base and then wait for counterattack. Unfortunately, I have no video of them of the attack that night, but we did sneak up on them. We did light them up. We even threw some stun grenades at them that also happened to set the brush on fire, so that didn't go so well. But the second counterattack, we actually got up to their line and fired them up pretty good, making sure they got no sleep that night. Next morning, they had to go back and collect all the wire they had laid, and then after that, they had to go on and march all the way up the hill with all their gear to the mile stage. And after having a horrible night's sleep and all that good stuff, they had to fire up each other in force-on-force warfare using the mile system. From there, they got a little bit lucky. They were able to ditch some of their wire gear, and then from there, at the completion of that stage, they marched all the way down, retrieved their landmines that hadn't been exploded, retrieved their rubber duckies, and marched all the way back up, and then went to the trench stage. After the trench stage, which they had to do in a bit different way than everybody else because they were limited in round count, and each miss was a penalty on the pistol section. And then they had to go through the trench like every other person, getting caliber specific hits. After that, They then marched all the way down to stage 3 with all their gear. Did stage 3, except they also had an extra 40-pound water gallon can they had to bring around the stage with them. And then at the completion of stage 3, they had to march all the way back up that hill with all their gear and deposit it back at the start point where they loaded up the day before. These guys did a lot. They went through a lot. The squad started out with 11, and 2 guys had to drop out early on, but the rest of them were able to tough through. And this is no dig against the guys who dropped, because Nightmare was extra hard for a reason. These people came for a challenge and they got one. And I hear some of them are crazy enough they're going to volunteer for it next year, so we're going to see what we can do to make it even more of a challenge. We hope you found this coverage of the Nightmare Division at Woodland Brutality 2023 helpful and informative. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and tune in for more match coverage.